Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery. I'm Zara, Altair, mystery author and creator of Write a Killer Mystery. Today, I want to talk about using metaphors in your mystery. It's part of the writing craft, and so let's just talk about metaphors. Um, So, Writing Advice site Studio Binder defines metaphor for writers. A metaphor is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase denoting one kind of object or idea is used in place of another to suggest a likeness or an analogy between them. Okay, that's pretty involved. So, simply put, a metaphor is a comparison between two unlike things, which implies they are alike. Metaphors add color to your story with an economy of words. One of my favorite metaphors in a mystery is in Adrian McKenty's Falling Glass, as he describes the protagonist's first view of Hong Kong, a mashup of Canaletto and Blade Runner. It's like instantly brings images to your head. No long description of harbors and boats and skyscrapers and the mountain. The metaphor instantly casts images in the reader's mind, and this is the case. McKenty uses an 18th century painter and a futuristic film to give the reader a mental impression. And then the story continues, uninterrupted by a long narrative description. And I think that's so important for mysteries because readers want to get to that story, right? They don't want to get slowed down by a long descriptive passage of, say, entering the harbor at Hong Kong and what it's like. Just, get on with the story. So why use metaphors in your story? They're really a shorthand for connecting with your reader, and they do it visually. They bring images into your reader's head right away. They're like little nuggets of meaning that spark a reaction in your reader. And the best way to understand how you can use a metaphor is to see it in practice. So one of the things metaphors can do is explain abstract concepts, big concept, in concrete terms. So your sleuth wants to get on with the investigation and not spend much time philosophizing, and metaphors help condense a concept so the reader understands. So here's one. Memories are bullets. Some whiz by and only spook you. Others tear you open and leave you in pieces. That's from Kill the Dead by Richard Kadrey. And then here's one from William Shakespeare. If you could look into the seeds of time and say which grain will grow and which will not, speak then to me. I love that, the seeds of time. Metaphors also create a sense of familiarity for your reader. So in a few words, a metaphor gives the reader instant recognition of the scene, and it gives them that familiarity with what is happening in your story. So let's look at one of those. Mr. Neck storms into class, a bull chasing 33 red flags. Love that description of a classroom. And that's from Speak by Laurie Anderson. Another thing that metaphors do is give readers a picture in their mind, because a metaphor condenses down the imagery and the reader sees it in their head as they're reading. So this is from Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. He could hear Beatty's voice. "Sit down, Montague. Watch. Delicately, like the petals of a flower. Light the first page. Light the second page. Each becomes a black butterfly. Beautiful, hmm? Light the third page from the second, and so on. Chain smoking, chapter by chapter. All the silly things the words mean. All the false promise. All the second-hand notions and time-worn philosophies." Well, I love that, the page by page. Another thing that metaphors do is trigger emotions. Because metaphors are concise, you can give your reader an emotional punch just right there with that metaphor. The parents looked upon Matilda in particular as nothing more than a scab. A scab is something you have to put up with until time comes when you can pick it off and flick it away. And that's from Matilda by Roald Dahl. And another thing that metaphors can do is illustrate a character's worldview. When your character uses a metaphor, your reader gets an instant understanding of your character's personality just by the images the character uses. Okay, so this is from Seize the Night by Dean Koontz. Bobby Holloway says, "My imagination is the 300 Rings Circus. Currently, I was in ring 299 with elephants dancing and clowns cartwheeling and tigers leaping through rings of fire. The time had come to step back, leave the main tent, go buy some popcorn and a Coke, bliss out, cool down." And here's a metaphor from a screenplay. Your television incarnate, Diana, indifferent to suffering, insensitive to joy. And that's from Network. So I don't know if you've thought about using metaphors in your story. We use metaphors every day in speech, so here's just some samples. Love is a battlefield. You gave me something to chew on. He's just blowing off steam. That's music to my ears. Love is a fine wine. She's a thorn in my side. You are the light in my life. He has the heart of a lion. Am I talking to a brick wall? Okay, we're all familiar with those, and those are all metaphors. But those everyday expressions come off as cliches when we're writing, so you need to be careful with those. The only time you would use them is in a dialogue for an unimaginative character to illustrate their pedestrian worldview and how they deal with things. Only this idiot would use that kind of metaphor. So mystery writers who use first-person point of view often use metaphors to illustrate the protagonist's feelings about the people they meet and the situations they confront. Just like the illustration of Hong Kong above, and then from Philip Kerr's A Quiet Flame. To speak the language of Goethe and Schiller, you have to stick your vowels in a pencil sharpener. The bottom line is that metaphors make your writing more interesting. And they do that with an immediacy that surpasses even similes, which are a different literary device when you directly state that one thing is like another. Metaphors don't even use the is like, the page is like a black butterfly. The page is a simile. The page is a black butterfly is a metaphor. So, the best way to start with metaphors is to think about how your protagonist sleuth sees the world. And just try this, it's a lot of fun. Um, what images come to your sleuth's mind? Um, what what is real in their world? How do they think about things? And what likes or dislikes color their life? Um, and then tie those images that your sleuth sees to another character or a situation or a setting and see what happens. That's why there's not too much explaining about metaphors today. It's just mainly giving you ideas of how other writers use them, because metaphors are so unique. But I really encourage you to try using some metaphors and see what it's like, because you're going to kick up the imaginative quality of your story. So this is a pretty deep dive into the craft of mystery writing, and if you're looking for the basics of mystery writing, then be sure to check out the course Write a Killer Mystery. It walks you through every step of writing a mystery, and the link is in the description below. All right, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and click that, oops, over here. Click that little notification bell so you won't miss another episode of Write a Killer Mystery.